Child, Love is Blind Season 10 reunion. Oh my God, what did I just watch? Let's just get into it.
Alright, let's talk.
Hey y'all, it is your girl Nurse Brook from Brook Talks channel. Okay, so look, before we get into this, okay, last talk we had, I told y'all I was going to St. Louis for my next travel nursing assignment, okay? So the car's packed up. I'm actually leaving in the morning. Me and my dog and my tarantula, we're leaving in the morning, okay? We have a lot of things going on at home as far as, someone very close in our family to us, my immediate family, is going through some serious health issues. And we have really been a village. It's been so much going on. I want them to know that we love you so much. And I will be back. I will be back very soon. So this is just a bridge to get over. And this is just a time for us to come up on some new bread. Y'all know I love some bread. Okay, love my coins. And just be able to, live life a little bit more comfortably and be present for those who need us and me the most, okay? Without further ado, we're going to get right on into this reunion episode of Love is Blind Season 10, Ohio, okay? I have so many thoughts, okay? So many thoughts. Where do I begin? Let's just begin at the beginning, okay? So this is Season 10, Love is Blind. This is our Ohio cast, but this is the reunion, okay? And they did the reunion very kind of interesting to me, okay? So, you have the hosts, the Lachey's, come out and they greet each other and do all of their pleasantries, and Vanessa sticking her tongue out like, okay, girl, period, for her man. So this cast, this actual, audience is our past cast members of all of the Love is Blind seasons, and I even saw Mr. Tyler in the stands. I'm not going to go in on Tyler today, but I saw Tyler out there in the stands smiling. They got our eyes on you, Tyler. I'm not going to go too much into it, but they were kind of like, pointing out certain cast members who, made some type of impact on the show, or who were very memorable, who were, had a good run. They didn't focus on who they didn't focus on. And you just have to see for yourself to see what I mean. I also feel like maybe some of those people was like, look, don't come up to me and ask me nothing. Or maybe they didn't have the authority to do that, and they were like, look, we're not going to ask you anything. I don't know that side of it. I'm not on that, side of the media world, but those were my thoughts. So they were just it was almost like a little slight roasting session of people, of the past cast members on the show, even the most recent season. Just like the girl, Elisa, I think her name is, don't quote me on that, but the one who, I think she was a nurse as well. I think that's why I remember her name, but the one who dropped the nail glue into her eyes and had to go get herself together at the hospital. They were making like little fun of things and picking fun. I thought it was kind of corny, but it doesn't matter. This is not my show. I'm just giving commentary. But they're doing that because those are the things that these people are obviously remembered for. They obviously are memorable for these things, and it's, of course, like a ratings thing, but I didn't care for it. So next part of the reunion is where they start bringing, the couples out, or the cast out, because everybody ain't coupled up no more, okay? So they bring them out. They bring out Brittany and Devontae first, and I think it was because they were from Ohio, just like Nick Lachey is from Ohio. If I remember correctly, I think that was like the correlation. Like they was like, these contestants were, you know, from my home state of Ohio, because he was like Ohio, Ohio. I was crying, child. I said Nick love him some Ohio, child. Period, Nick. So they start coming out. First of all, Brittany looks amazing. Okay, no matter how much, you know, roasting I've done on my girl Britt, she looks gorgeous. You know, one thing I'm gonna do is not give somebody their flowers. Okay, girl, you are gorgeous. You looked amazing, honey. You had everything going. That dress, the hair, the makeup, the skin, everything was T, sis. Okay, don't let nobody ever tell you differently. You was T. Okay, my girl Jessica looked good too. Okay, Jessica didn't come to play. Okay, she got them lashes, the hair, the dress. She looked good. Okay, I'm not gonna go too deeply into the looks and who looked better than who. Oh, that's not really what I care for. But if I see something and it grabs my eye, and I'm gonna be like, hey, it was T. Now I will say that my boy Chris, what was that? What was that hairstyle? You was trying to match that photo that everybody was saying was was allegedly AI. I don't know. I just heard it. I don't care. But Chris looks like my boy off of Lord of the Rings. And I'm sorry I had to chime in on that too. But the people who said it, it's cool they said that. But I am actually a hardcore, diehard anime, comic book, fantasy fan. Look at my other videos. I do book reviews and book recommendations. That's a big part of my content as well. So I read the books and I've seen the correlating movies. So if you know, you know. He just gives that. He does. And he's a little guy and he has very big issues. And that's just what it is. That's what it looks like. Oh my God, I forgot to mention that Cameron was in the audience. Lauren's at home with the baby, okay? Cameron is up there representing, okay? As the OG of the OG couples. And I love that for them. So the next segment of the reunion, Lachey's are asking and talking and focusing on Vic and Christine's relationship and now marriage. Okay, so they get right on into it. You know, they talk about how their love, you know, kind of started, how their connection started, how their connection in the pod started. You know, they were kind of like giving Vic a hard time, saying that he's kind of setting the bar really, really high for them because he told her, you know, I don't see you, but I see you. So they gave him a little jokey joke, like, look, you making it hard on the rest of us. Like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard, Nick. It's not that hard. But I know it was a little jokey joke. Because hopefully you giving Vanessa what she, you know what I'm saying, needs to be getting. I don't know. I think it's probably very, very, very fucking difficult to be a married couple and be on this type of platform and this type of show. I just feel like I would be over that shit. But that's just me. Like, I'm not a freaking star. I'm not a celebrity or anything like that. So I could not even start to fathom being in a relationship with somebody and if shit goes sour or go bad or it's, you know, this and that and the other, like, you can't really get out of that shit, you know? And that's what I hate. I hate that. You know, I've been married before. I've talked about that a couple times on this channel. I am divorced, and it's a very interesting thing. We can do a marriage and divorce video at some other time if y'all want that, but child. They did address the how at like asking Vic and Christine, like pretty much directing at Vic at this point, like, how did you feel about being the only couple who didn't go to Mexico and, you know, went to Malibu instead? And I thought those answers that they gave were they were interesting. Like, not interesting in a way, like in a bad way. It was Nick did say that this was the first time that they, you know, followed 7 couples and, you know, they just couldn't send them to Mexico. That's the story that we're going with, okay? Not saying that that's not true. I don't know. That's just the story that we're going with. We all know that in showbiz, it could be anything, okay? As of right now, that's what we're going to go with. We didn't have the budget. So Vic actually looks over at Christine. They're sitting side by side, but he, looks over at her and he's like, like giving her the floor to answer the question. So she answers the question, and she's pretty much saying that she feels that it made kind of a little bit of sense, for them to not be sent to Mexico and, went to Malibu. I think it's California, right? Instead. So she's just like, it makes the most sense, and she gives like some, I guess, evidence that's saying that one of her friends or family members or something was just like, yeah, like, you're too boring. Y'all are too boring for reality TV. That is a thing that a lot of like commentators such as myself and so many other people out there who are doing content on, the show, or people who are in the comments, or people who are interested, and everybody's putting their own feedback into something. There was an overwhelming response was that they were quote unquote boring for reality TV, and that they didn't have like that drama factor, that, they had some things going on that got them to where they are, but they weren't, like Christine said, like, they were each other's number one at, the point where they were each other's number one. There was not really ever a super, super strong connection talking about, oh, well, I have these three people like Emma in the pod. I remember at one point she had like three different connections, like three strong connections at one point, until she got rid of Steven's ass, thank God. But she had three connections at that point. Christine and Vic, they were dating other people, but as far as their number one connection, they were each other's number one connection. And she said she didn't even know if they even knew that until after the pods. Now, I hate to be like this, but I don't care what nobody say. I still feel like there's something behind that, because you got 6 couples that you're following. Like, that's the typical thing. You got 6 couples, okay? You can't follow a 7th couple, or you hadn't in the past followed a 7th couple, and they really didn't. They didn't follow them on their trip or anything. They were sending in iPhone video footage and camera footage to the producers or to the show, for them to chop and screw it and put into the episode. They didn't have a production team following them. Now, of course, when we get to the wedding, they had all the huge production, because they were actually getting married. So they were there for that, and they did the production, and they actually spent a long time on Vic and Christine's marriage story. And what I feel like is happening here, this is just my opinion, this is just my commentary. I don't know these folks. I'm not trying to get to know these folks. I'm just commentating. That's it. Okay? I just feel like this was another opportunity, or they used this as another opportunity to try to concoct another Lauren and Cameron. And I'm not trying to compare them to, or like saying it because it's like interracial couple or anything. That shit doesn't matter right now, the conversation that I'm about to have. I'm saying that, and maybe it does. Maybe it absolutely does mean that. Who fucking knows? But I feel like they're just trying to do that because they have that perfect love. They have that longevity, that possibility of a longevity like a Lauren and a Cameron. They did not get exposed to the Mexico drama. Even though they did say they were each other's number one, they still did date other people in the pods. So they still would have had to interact with those people. Some people don't know how to shut their mouth. Some people can't keep, whatever has happened done and done. Unless it's some shady shit, some stuff is just need to be left unsaid or said behind closed doors, child. But somebody gonna say who they did with who ex-man, who new fiance, who man. And it's gonna be like that forever and a day, especially with a lot of women, especially with that pick me attitudes. You're gonna always see that, especially when they mix these people together, these amazing people that we think are absolutely amazing. these people, once you mix them together, that's when the truth comes out, or that's when the truth gets a little bit more sticky. What I mean by a Lauren and Cameron is a coddled and curated, not their actual relationship, because I don't know them, but curated for the show, curated for the audience, curated for the people to love and support and keep away from the drama and the bullshit. I really do think that. I don't know what end and what means, but I think that they are setting them up, and they have. And honestly, I feel like Vic and Christine are playing along with it. Like, I do think they are in love. Absolutely. I don't know them, but from what I see, I do think they are in love with each other. I do think that they came in with the intention of finding love and finding a partner, and if it didn't happen, it didn't happen, but it did happen, and I feel like they are on the same page with that. But also at the same time, they both of their answers are too perfect. Now, eat me up if you want to, I don't care, but there is nothing perfect about anything in life. Nothing. It doesn't even mean that it's a bad issue or a big problem or big issues that they're having. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that life is just not perfect. It's not all just perfect and great and, oh, he's perfect, she's perfect, she does everything I love, everything I need, and it just doesn't give authentic. That may be their reality. That may be authentic for them. And that may be what's really the fuck going on behind the scenes. I don't know that. I don't sleep with them at night. But I'm just saying, as a viewer who has been watching this show since season 1, episode 1, up to now, season 10, reunion, you can see certain patterns as it comes to certain couples. You know, there's not a lot of couples, you know, a lot in a sense, that are getting just constant press, constant endorsement, constant backing, constant, like, people know them regardless of if they even saw the show or not. But Lauren and Cameron are definitely that. And I love that for them. Period. I love that for them. I've been a fan the whole time, their entire journey. I, follow her, follow Lauren, and who knows? And I'm not trying to be negative in any way. Like, I know a lot of people gonna look at this and look at how loud I'm being. I'm just loud as hell, and I'm a Sagittarius, so it's no hate. It is just my brain just doesn't fathom that. Like I said, I read a lot of books, I watch a lot of TV, a lot of movies. My head is always in some type of book or learning something, understanding something, watching something, okay, for the culture. But for that reason, the answers were just too perfect. And of course, this is an edit, okay? Let me go ahead and go back and run it back and make that very clear. This is an edit. So we don't know, like, we're getting an edit of the whole entire episode of the reunion. They're not going to show you everything that happened on the reunion. As we've talked about, and many of us should know at this point, they're not going to just show you the whole raw footage of everything that was said and all the little interjections. And you could tell that some crazy shit was said because Amber was talking shit. She was talking shit. And I think Amber probably had got a little, threw one or two back, and as allegedly, but I just know because getting onto a stage like that, I know I would have to throw something back, cause I need a shot or something real quick. I'm not a big drinker, but I have to have a shot or something, baby, real quick, because the nerves that I would feel, oh my God, I'd probably shit on myself. I wish them the very best, Christine and Vic. I definitely feel that Love is Blind and the whole organization and everyone involved is definitely helping to curate that relationship so that they can see love is blind. You know, whether they are in love or not, I think they are. But they're just trying to show, hey, look at this couple. We got these couples. They're doing great. They're getting endorsements. They're getting, brand deals. They're getting sponsorships. They're getting their homes. They're having children. Like all of those things that a lot of the, past cast members and things like that are doing. I think that they are really, really crunching in down on Vic and Christine. Especially since they didn't feature them as like a Mexico couple. And as far as like, we didn't see anything really major. We didn't get to develop a relationship with their relationship, if you will. As a viewer, you're following these people, you're following their story, and then you get to see a bigger picture of what's going on. It's kind of like, in my mind, it's almost like we got pods, and then iPhone camera footage, and then maybe we saw a family member or so, and then we're getting married. Like, there was literally nothing else. So, like, I couldn't, believe that these two were actually in love with each other, or not that I couldn't believe it, but I just couldn't fathom it. I couldn't see it. I couldn't formulate that understanding because we really didn't see much from them, in my opinion. Of course, because of the reasons that they said. But we didn't really see shit from them. So I don't know if these people just going through the fucking motions. I don't know if they was like, look, if y'all do this, and y'all play like this is a perfect relationship and ain't shit going on, and she leaves you love notes every day. He said a home was a home. A home is still a home. Vic said a home is a home with my girl. He had nothing negative to say. She had nothing negative to say. Even when they asked them about what their little pet peeves, like what, you move in with somebody and you it's a new relationship. You like, what the fuck you got going on? Like, what are the things that you have learned about this person that you probably hate? And I think Vic said something about Christine has like an abnormal amount of socks. And she said, so I can't even remember what she said about him, but it was dumb. It pissed me off, honestly, because I'm like, really? If that is the only thing that y'all worried about in y'all household, somebody delusional, or y'all are doing that well. I can't imagine so with this newfound stardom in public, whatever. But hey, if you like it, I love it. I'm rooting for y'all. I hope y'all stick it out and thug it out, because there will be many great things in store for you. But if you don't want to do it no more, don't do it. I'm not going to spend too much more time on Vic and Christine, but they did go into a lot of things about. That's what I'm saying. They're really, really crunching down on them. For one, they the only motherfuckers that's still together and married. Well, married. That were from the season. So there's that. So they're going to spend the most time on Vic and Christine. They don't have shit else to go off of at this point. Because once you put all the messy motherfuckers through that ain't about to get fucking married, now you want to circle back to Vic and Christine's story and then bombard them with all of these things, which I love that for them. They deserve it, but it's just weird. That something about that's weird to me. Vic and Christine, I wish y'all nothing but the best. Keep loving each other, because it seems like, I can't see anybody who, if they didn't care about each other, why would you go the extra mile to make sure that this woman is, getting back in contact with her father, having a relationship with her father, or forgiving her father? Like, if they didn't care about each other, I just don't feel like that would have happened. So, child, they cue over to Jordan and Amber, okay? And they're like, we're going to cue over to our next married couple of, our other married couple of the season. How are y'all doing? What's going on? Mind you, they know good and full fucking well that them two is divorced, but they want them to tell it, of course. Let me hush. But Amber, what was going on, like, in this area? Like, what was going on with her lip? Like, something was going on. I don't know if it was just her like trying to hold it together. I don't know if there were like some type of like injections done, I don't know, but something was real tight lip going on with her upper lip, and I just didn't remember her lip looking like that. I had to go back and look, y'all. But Jordan pretty much was like, bro, we not married no more. Like, after 3 or 4 months, that shit was done. And like, do you got a follow-up question? Like, that's literally what he said. And you look over at, they cue over to Jess, and she's like, this dumbass. So this part of the show, of the reunion, is actually very difficult to watch with Amber and Jordan, because, you know, again, Jordan did kind of take the floor with that. They gave him the floor with asking about what's going on. Amber is visibly just uncomfortable, tense. You can tell that she just wants to possibly burst out crying, or maybe burst out beating his ass at any moment. I can't tell which one. Jordan goes to say that there were so many things that, of course, were not like depicted on the show for the viewers to see, that was kind of happening behind the scenes, that was giving him pause. And I honestly, I agree with that, because that last episode where, like, I just felt like, and I talked about it in the video that I posted, but I was thinking like, okay, like the whole time they got kind of like this great-ish edit. Like, they got a pretty good edit. Now, we didn't really see any like super serious reservations from them until we saw that little spat that they had at that mixer. And he was saying that it was like alleging that she had given him a cold shoulder or some shit like that. And it was said that she was like half asleep and not I don't know. But you can see on TV, what I saw on the show is that those two had some type of disagreement. She overheard him saying something about something, you know, him having doubts or some shit like that. And she possibly flipped out on my boy. And he tried to like talk to her about it. And they had it was just communication issues all across the board. So that was like my first little like, something's going on here. Something going on. But it wasn't much else shown after that, because whatever. But then when we get to the wedding scene, I was just like, okay, so Jordan is expressing a lot of nervousness, a lot of doubts, a lot of reservations. Like, you can see his family trying to like help him to work through these things, but you can tell that something is something. Like, he not feeling it, or he just has like several doubts. Like, I were literally going back and forth, which I'm pretty sure is exactly what, you know, Jordan was talking about. Like, he pretty much said that the relationship was toxic. It was not healthy. They didn't have good communication. That, you know, he told her from the pods, I told you in the pods. Okay. You know, he told her in the fucking pods. I get that people say, I told you in the pods, you know, but so many things can change over a course of time. Like, I get you told me that in the pods, but you also were saying in the pods that one of your deal breakers was not being with somebody that has kids. Like, you can't have children. But then you made the exception for Amber for whatever reason. And that ended up ultimately not the fact, he kind of like wanted to say, no. They asked him, like, do you think that was part of why y'all broke up? The fact that she has a child, and you said you didn't want kids. You didn't want nobody with a child. And he was like, no. He quickly shut that down. And we all know that if anybody who's ever dated someone who has kids and you don't have kids, everything else this man is pointing to is saying that, look, like, that was a factor. Her having a child was a factor, because I don't give a fuck about you having a child. I'm going to be living near these bars. I'm going to be living near the nightlife. I'm going out with my homeboys every night. She was pretty much going back and forth with him again. She was saying that he was spending the night maybe one time a week, if that. Or she said she'd see him like one day out of the week. And so, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, we engaged, we get married, we not, like, they both had valid-ish points and things like that. But let's just be clear. Neither one of these people were ready to get married. Amber, we loved her edit and loved the fact that she hate the men, because we all love that. But it is being revealed in so many ways that Amber does have some anger issues. She said it on the reunion. She said that he didn't give her a chance to work on those anger issues. It was just like, 2 months, this ain't gonna work, and I'm done. And I mean, I kind of can agree with that in a way. They were, they live like 45 minutes from each other. So that was like a problem. 45 minutes from the person that you love. I mean, to see them a couple times a week, or figure out how to move together, because that's what fiancés and husband and wife do. He said some shit like, well, I was inviting you to weddings and da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, said something, and he was like, yeah, that's what married couples do. She was like, yeah, and married couples stay together. And like, honey, they clocked his ass. So again, this section of of the reunion, Jordan and Amber are literally going tit for tat, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth about, oh, well, what about when you did this and this and this? Oh, well, what about when you done this and you done this? Oh, well, what about when you did... Like, they literally were doing that the whole time. It was honestly hard to watch. It was honest. You could honestly tell that they had to edit the fuck out of that scene. They had to edit the hell out of that, because Amber got up and stormed off and walked away. So they made like this cut, made it seem like, trying to show you that he's saying that she has these anger issues and she has these drinking issues. She has these anger issues and these drinking issues and these communication issues. And she has a child as well. And she has trust issues as well with her past relationships. And then they edit her to like get up and storming out. So it gives the viewer like, oh yeah, like she does have anger issues. She does have these problems. She does have these issues. So that's my opinion on that. I feel like they edited that exactly the way that they wanted to. And that was what that depicted to me as a viewer. That's how that looked. She got up, and she did get up and storm out. But what was the storm out like truly about? Like, was it because they were going back and forth, yelling and screaming at each other, doing the same thing, and she just couldn't deal with it? Or is it something else? I don't know. There was a lot brought up about Emma. And I honestly hate that that she done that, or that they directed the questions in a way to where Emma, her daughter, not Emma, the other cast member, is constantly being brought up. Like a child who's gonna have to deal with this shit probably is gonna scar her in some way, shape, or form. Like, people don't realize that as children, it's cool as a parent that you want to move on and that you want to find happiness and find love, but there are just certain ways that you just probably should maybe steer away from doing, because it is detrimental to the kids. Because when kids grow up, a lot of times they see these things, and they see, not in her case per se, but they see like mom dating one man after another. Like, not me either. I didn't grow up seeing that. My mama, child, she's strict, child. She was strict when it come with a man, okay? But like, just knowing what I know, you're going into something. No tea, no shade to my girl. Like, you deserve love, and you deserve to get all the things and the things that you need and want. But putting the kids in this type of predicament, knowing that you're gonna know this person for what, like maybe 6 weeks before you actually tie the knot with them, that is not enough time to introduce them to your kids, introduce them to your family. Again, specifically the kids. They're seeing these patterns of, getting married, or, their mom going through this shit or going through that. And you see that. And at some point that could affect them in their relationships. Not always, but it could. Look, you knew you had a daughter when you came into this experiment. and you knew that this man was talking about he wanted to live in them motherfucking bars, it would have been a no for me. It just would have been a no for me. Like this, that might have not been the experience for you. Okay. Child, there was so many things that I feel like didn't get brought up. Like they have AD, love my girl AD down, Charlotte, but they have AD in the audience going up to different, these are all like past contestants, and this was season 10 contestant. She went up to Kia and Tyler, and it's just the energy that AD has with these folks is the same energy that she has on that reality. What's the reality podcast? It's just very stale. And I felt some type of way about AD ever since the season with Ashley and those girls. The call was from in the house. She looked great. You look amazing, girl. Body T, having a baby. But something's not right about you either, sis, with this. They also had Gigi from a past season on there talking. They had both of them are both, at the time of filming were recent mothers. And we all know the AD did just have her baby. I don't know too much about Gigi, so I couldn't attest to that. But she told us on there that they're both new mothers, okay? Do you have any last thoughts, Amber? And child, she goes in. She also turns around and flips the hell out on Chris and talking about he was a bad guy and I'm sorry to go in on you, but it's the truth. And honey, girl, was you tipsy or was you just wanted to get that out? You just wanted to, put that man down because you was feeling bad too. Because everybody hate Chris. Everybody hates Chris. We all hate Chris. We all hate Chris. Everybody hates Chris. We all hate that motherfucker. But that was kind of like cringe. That was cringe, Amber. So next we have Connor and Bree, and they get into like their relationship. So first of all, we don't know that Connor and Bree are actually still together. They are dating, okay? They, quote unquote, are in love. But Bree did cut off the wedding, the marriage with Connor on the show. So we did see that as viewers. She said she wasn't, we saw how she went through that turmoil and still seemed like she really cared about him. And they pretty much were saying that they pretty much came to a conclusion like this is not going to be what we thought it was going to be. Okay, this is not going to be what we thought it was going to be. And, but that doesn't mean that we can't try to do something outside of this, which a lot of people do end up doing. A lot of couples match up with other people from other seasons or other people, from the pods that maybe they dated and maybe just missed out on, and maybe they got the chance to circle back around. And we're going to hear that about one of the couples, well, not one of the couples, two contestants that were on season 10 that actually are together now that were not a couple on the show or any of that. So they go into Bree and Connor and their experience with the whole conversation between Bree and Chris. They cut to a lot of audio some audio I don't even remember hearing, child, of Chris talking about, I did hear the part about him saying like Bree was so hot and and they was like, well, what about Connor? He was like, what about him? What the fuck he gonna do? He's gonna fight me? And he's like laughing like, yes, Frodo, yes, Bilbo, yes, your short ass, yes. If he wanted to beat your ass over his woman, yeah, he probably could. But either way, I thought that was very weird. He's weird. We all have realized that. They ate Chris' ass up on that stage. Everybody that had beef with him, they tore into his ass and lit him a new one. Okay. So Bree and that conversation with Chris, they aired that again. They showed us, they run the clips back of the conversation he's having with her and saying he's got this and got that and do this and do that. Knowing good and well he ain't got it and he is in debt. He is in debt. But he is in debt, okay? He's got some financial issues apparently. But he was going to try to shoot his shot with Bree. And Bree kind of sat there and entertained the conversation a little bit longer than she should have. She didn't say, oh yeah, come on, let's go do these things. No, but she did entertain that conversation a little longer than she should have. And she was probably enjoying it. Who knows? But Bree has done some very skeptical things. Just like Bree was weird to me. Bree has been super weird to me ever since that episode where after they all met up and she was like, I need a round 1. I need a round 2. I need a round 3. Like she wanted to talk. Well, why is nobody, we had all these connections in the pods with people and telling them things about our lives that nobody knows anything about. And we're just going to act like none of that happened. Like, I hear you, sis. But that's not what this experience is. That's not what this experiment is, girl. So after that, it was kind of giving weird to me. It was kind of giving like she would go over there and let him toss that salad one time or two. Not necessarily Chris, but somebody that does, shows her these attentions and things like that. And it looks like from the rest of this reunion, the things that I'm going to see and say, it looks like she is going to be doing some other little shady shit with other cast members. So we're going to talk. So they pretty much like ask Connor, like, how you feel about this, bruh? Like, how you feel about Chris coming on to your girl like that, saying that shit behind the scenes about you? Like, how you feel? And Connor was like, I don't really have anything to say about Chris or to Chris. He was like, I ain't got nothing for that. But he was like, it did feel kind of odd and weird that we was like bros in the pods. Like we was bros in the pods and we was with each other the hard way. And you turn around and was doing that and saying that. Like, I know he definitely felt fucking weird about that. And Nick was like, well, what about the bro code? Like, Nick was tearing into, let me tell y'all something. Nick and Vanessa, I guess, Vanessa was just sitting by idly. I guess she didn't really want to say nothing. But Nick was tearing into Chris's ass. He was tearing into these guys' asses and making them accountable. Now, they ain't make them accountable for everything. They can't do everything. But what we saw, I feel like Nick, I'm going to give you a hand clap, Daddy Nick, because you was really addressing a lot of the things that a lot of the viewers was wanting to know. Nick was tearing off into their asses. Y'all need to go see Nick reading these guys for filth, okay? In the best way that Nick Lachey can do on this platform. I also feel like Miss Bree had a damn explanation for everything. It was very well rehearsed. You could tell that Bree has been getting PR training. You can tell, okay? Every answer is like a rehearse, but it's like I'm not going to admit like this fault in a way, but I'm going to say, look, I did this or this was wrong, but this is not what it was. It was this, like, I don't know. Y'all got to see what I'm saying to understand what I'm saying. But I honestly, Nick was tearing into his ass so bad. He was like, look, Chris, Ohio boy to Ohio boy. He was like, this shit you doing ain't right. Like, you need to be apologizing to these people. You have managed to piss off everybody on this stage, male, female, or other. And Chris does look like he's about to cry. Like, he looked like he is trying his absolute best to not break. Because everybody literally has tore into his ass. He does apologize to Connor. He apologizes to Bree in the situation and everything that happened. Connor ain't really feeling the shit. And honestly, I wouldn't be either. After looking back at that shit and seeing that, I wouldn't really be accepting of that apology. I'd be like, all right, appreciate it. Like, thank you. But you're a fucking snake. So then, of course, we shift over to Jessica and Chris's actual relationship because that's who he got with. But then, of course, the situation that happened with Bree, I believe that was after him and my good sis Jess had like broke it off, if I'm not mistaken. Because also he was talking shit about Jess at that event, if I'm not mistaken, talking about like, yeah, it's not gonna work out because I need somebody who does Pilates. I need somebody that works out. And like these ladies are standing there and nobody's defending Jessica. Nobody's defending Jessica. Not only that, Jessica says on the reunion, like she started crying because she's like, look, like I know y'all weren't like chiming in and like really bantering with him on it. Y'all weren't like really, condoning what he was saying, but you were in a way because he was just sitting there talking straight up shit about her and about the fact that she doesn't do Pilates every day. And everybody should know that that's some weird ass shit, but a lot of these people are weird. So maybe they thought that was a normal thing to say to the person you was talking about you was finna marry. And we love her. We're so close, but nobody even gave her a heads up that conversation even happened. Nobody told Jessica that conversation happened and that it was going to be on TV. Maybe they didn't know it was going to be on TV, but as a friend, you need to be letting me know that something like that. Like, that's pretty major. That's something that you're going to remember because now you know that we're not together. So that's a big thing. One of the main couples that got followed, they're not together no more. And this is why. Y'all know that was messy. Jessica was upset because she was like, look, like, I know you girls like that, like, but that was the part that upset her was that nobody defended her. And Ashley tried to jump her ass in and say, oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. I didn't. She like tried to take accountability, but then she was like, but I was in shock. Girl, shut up. Y'all ain't, we gonna learn later that y'all ain't no girls. Ashley, you included. You are not no girl. A situation where Jess and Chris were talking and he actually told her about, like, before the breakup, whenever he actually told her, she was like, look, where were you last night? Like, she wasn't saying it in a mean way either. She was like, well, we're engaged. Like, you just left off the face of the earth and I'm calling you and texting you. You're not responding. So he tried to gaslight the hell out of her, as men like that typically do. And, pretty much break up with her. Like, and this happened and they pointed that out on the show, that it seems like Chris had a problem after he saw how Jessica was living. Dr. Jess. Jess got 4-5 closets. Jess got the damn curtains that touch the ceiling all the way to the floor. Oh, I love those. That was beautiful. She has created a beautiful life for herself, which is what she said. Regardless, at the end of the day, I am a doctor. Like, she said that Chris has so many insecurities. She said financial being one of those insecurities, one of the major insecurities that he has. And he wants people to think he has all this money, he has this and that, but he really doesn't. Tried to project his insecurities onto her and gaslight her and make her feel like she was worthless. He made Jessica feel horrible. She's worked herself through it. You can tell she's been working through it in a positive way that she's depicting and that she's saying. But that broke her. That absolutely fucking not only embarrassed her, but it makes you create these little insecurities for yourself. Sometimes it's an insecurity that you may already have had prior to this person and they amplified it, or it was something that was not only said on national fucking television, but something that you may not have even been insecure about before, and now your ass is insecure about it. Think about it. And I don't know that that's the case, but I'm just saying from if that was me, those are just things that would make the most sense. Child, Chris done a whole lot of gaslighting and a whole lot of lying up there on that stage. And child, Jessica was laughing at his ass. They asked her, did she have anything that she wanted to say to him? She said, oh, I don't have nothing to say to him. Like, but then after all of that, that Chris takedown, honey, they say they cue over to some people in the audience. They're doing like the Gigi and KD stuff with the folks in the audience with the mic getting the tea-chow. And so they cue over to Haramal, which was a doctor who was on the show but who did not find love. And they said something along the lines of, but you ended up finding love with someone else or someone that's on the stage. And we're like, oh. So, honey, come to find out, Dr. Haramal and Dr. Jessica are in love, honey. They is in a relationship. That was tea. Love is Blind, that was tea. That was some good tea right there. I was like, oh my God. And Harriman up there cheesing. Harriman gave her flowers on TV. Harriman said he gonna juice up his opportunity to tell Jessica how much he loves her and tell her body look good and she fine. She packaged up in the right motherfucking package. 2 doctors. First of all, 2 doctors. I don't give a damn. 2 doctors. But he gave his woman her flowers, said your body was all the things that Chris is insecure about and tried to make her insecure about. Harriman amp that shit up and put some seasoning on it. Okay, so Harriman and Jessica, doctor, they are in a relationship. So child, we cue over to Mike and Emma, and we learned some things from their situation. So long story long, I'm not gonna get too much into this situation with this couple because I never felt like at any moment that they should have been together. I said that from the episode 1, I think, or whenever they showed up and started their story in the season 10. I never thought that Emma, I feel like the guys that Emma was talking to and had connections with, all except for that one creepo Steven, that one alleged creepo Steven, he did seem like he didn't care about the kids thing, which would make sense for me if some of the things that are alleged about him are true. And the way that he acted in the pods, I could see how weird he was. Like, make no mistake. It's there in 4K on TV, national, international. So, but Emma had multiple connections. Aside from Steven, her 2 connections were Connor and Mike. Okay. And she really wanted Connor. But I think that, I don't know. Well, Connor, obviously, Bree was his number 1 and they end up doing their thing. But Emma made it clear about her stance on children. That it's possible, but who knows? That may not be something that she wants to do because of all the things that she told us and all the reasons why. The family stuff, the adoption, the skin melanoma possible issue with all the surgeries, all the things that she got to try to prevent her from getting these skin cancers and things like that. Not knowing too much about her family history and family health to be having children and knowing that it could possibly be something that could affect them or be a health problem. And like people who just want to put a baby in you, they don't understand that shit. People who don't have a fucking inkling as to what it takes to conceive a baby, what it takes to carry a baby, what it takes to push a baby out, what it takes to breastfeed and raise a baby, that could potentially come out and something be wrong with them. And if you know that you have these issues and these problems that could result into some type of genetic thing that's passed down, like that's her choice that she doesn't want to have kids. And I think that these men just get on here and they just have like this tunnel vision, and people who are privileged have this, this is what I want and this is what I'm going to get. And it's cool. But think about the realistic thing about that and what she's telling you. It's not that, oh, I just don't want to have kids. It's like, look, like I could have look at my arm. Like she has gone through a lot with that issue. And that's something that she could pass on to a child that they could potentially get cancer from or what have you. Like, think about it. Think about it. Use your brain. Think about it. So I feel like, so then that brings me to say, I do feel like this experiment probably was not the best experiment for Emma. Like, honestly, I feel like they don't need to bring people on here who, like Amber, has kids. Love y'all down. This is just not the show for y'all. Y'all deserve love. This is just not the show for y'all. So has kids or who does not want to have kids. Unless it's a show for those things, and that's the premise and the understanding that this is a show for people who don't want to have kids. This is a show for people who got kids. Or this is like, otherwise, I think they need to do a little bit more vetting. And maybe they're not going to outwardly say, oh, if you got kids, you can't come on this show. But I think that y'all need to stop selecting those people. Stop putting people's children through shit. Y'all love a drama story. Y'all love ruining people's lives and emotions. I hate it. At the cost of what? So pretty much you can tell that Emma wanted to be with Mike. Mike pretty much straight up, he told the truth. He said, look, I know that she said yes at the altar. He was like, she actually blindsided me. He said that they talked like 3 days prior to that wedding and said that they are not in a place to say yes and that they both agreed to say no. But when we got to the wedding scene, Emma blindsided him and said yes, even though they were going to say no. And he still told her no. He said he thought about it. Like, could I, in that moment? But he was like, no, we just talked about this 2 days ago. So if you're going back and forth like that and you can come on here and say yes, even though we just both said we was going to say no 2 days ago, and you going to flip on me like this and say, yeah? He said, I don't know what you going to flip on and flip the script on. And I mean, I get it. I get that. But the whole part about the kids, he's hell bent on that. He's got that, I want kids, because that's what your parents instill into you. You need to have kids. 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 When you having kids. When you having kids. When you having kids. When you having kids. I'm almost 35, and I have no kids. So I know that piece of it. He's from an Italian background because goddamn, they let us know 100 times over that they was Italian. Okay, it's calamari, it ain't sauce, it's gravy. Like, that shit pissed me off. I hated that they done that to Emma. I never would have said yes to this man, especially after that episode and that scene with his family. If they would have treated me, my black ass, like that. Oh, honey, first of all, my black ass would have been there with his family, because that's MAGA. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have allowed that. I would have been like, look, this ain't it, baby. We got to keep it pushing. But at the end of the day, for the marriage part of this, he said that they both agreed to say no, and they got to that damn altar, and Emma flipped the script and said yes, and he said that was too much. And now, child, Mike has him a new woman. She looked like she might be Italian. I don't know, but she looks like him. So that should tell you some things, and that's cool. Love it for you. He's got him a lady, and you could tell that it visibly hurt Emma. You can tell that she was hurt by seeing that and hearing that information. He has a new lady, and I'm pretty sure that lady wants to have children with him. Emma tried to say that, like, her saying yes was like her ultimate, like, agreement that she was, going to have a child with him. Like, girl, huh? He said, no, you told me 2 days ago you're still undecided about the child, so that's why we still undecided about this marriage. That's why we're not in a place to get married. Everybody knows good and full fucking well that all he is concerned, that the edit that we saw was, is you gonna have my baby or not? That's his right to do that. That's his right to feel that way. But I just feel like, given that is your right, that you feel that way, I feel like it should have never gotten beyond the pods. It never should have gotten beyond the pods. So then we get the Nomad Alex and Ashley. Okay, Nomad Alex. So they, asking him, like, what's going on? Like, it seemed like the story keep changing. When was you in Arizona? When was you here? When was you there? When was you in Austin? What's going on? And they was pretty much saying that, talking about the marriage, talking about the altar scene where Ashley did her little iconic, she said that it was something that she had prepared ahead of time, that all the things that she wanted to say to Alex. And she said also she didn't want to give him the satisfaction of rejecting her in front of everybody first, because he was he was supposed to go first. She said she went on ahead and just let them know, like, I don't give a damn what your answer is. It's a no for me too, boo. I feel like Ashley still has a lot of animosity towards Alex. Alex don't give a damn. If y'all can't tell that, Alex don't give a damn about what's going on here. Feeling like they were roommates instead of like engaged to be married. She said, the stories just kept changing. And Nick even said, but it seemed like your stories kept changing. And Alex was like, how? Like, Alex was pissed. He was like actually going back and forth with Nick. Like, how? Like, how? He even kind of went back and forth with Vanessa a little bit. And Vanessa, she kept it classy and was like, look, this is what I'm asking. And this is what, like, Alex, you're too damn defensive. A person that's lying and can't keep their stories together, and people keep asking you for details about stuff that you're giving them and the details ain't adding up, you're frustrated and you're agitated and you're defensive because some of the things you're saying is not 100% true. So yeah, like Nick Lachey was asking Alex, like, there seemed like it was some gaps, and Alex was like, can you point out the gaps? He was like, I don't agree with you, but okay, go ahead though. Like, he was real rude. He was very rude, very arrogant. Like, at the end of the day, like, you was lying about stuff. You know that you wasn't telling the full 100% truth, or you was telling this one person this and this other person that. You knew that. I just feel like this is what Alex wanted, is to get some type of fame. I'm sorry. And even if the fame is bad, even if it's infamy, he doesn't care. His professional soccer career never happened. He was on here talking about some major soccer players and talking about, oh, they were trash, or whatever he was trying to say about them. Whatever he said, I don't even remember. But those people came back and clapped back on him online and was like, look, bro, like pretty much like, you can't even sit with us. Like, you can't even sit with us, bro. Like, keep my name out your mouth, because please don't let us open up Pandora's box type shit. So they addressed the part where Alex meets Ashley's dad and they have that dinner, and Ashley's dad interrogates the hell out of him. And, you can tell that Alex has some animosity towards Ashley and her dad for this. And, you can tell that he doesn't respect Ashley's dad. Like, he doesn't. And he doesn't respect Ashley at the end of the day. Like, he said, she was like, yeah, my dad's going to ask these questions. Like, he's my dad. Like, we're talking about getting fucking married, bro. Like, he's going to ask these questions. And I think her dad said that he was a lawyer, or he previously was a lawyer or something like that. So yeah, bro, he coming with the questions, because it's easy to trip somebody up when they're lying. If you're telling the truth, it's authentic, it's real, it's this, it's that. You got proof, you got things to show us. But otherwise, she said that his answers seemed very rehearsed. She said her dad asked these questions to set the tone, to see what the tone gonna be. If you immediately lying and or you come off as if you're lying, or you come off as if every answer you have is like kind of rehearsed, it sounds fake. It sounds like you're just kind of like going over something that you have practiced or you have told people over and over and over. It doesn't sound authentic. Not saying that it's not. It just doesn't look that way. And a lawyer, or whoever, whatever her dad was saying that he was before, he is going to ask questions. He's going to be like, look, like, let me see what's going on with this fool who's about to talk about he want to marry my daughter. Like, no, sir, no, ma'am. So they actually, Ashley and Alex, I'm not going to keep on, but they went back and forth. They did the same thing in a way that Amber and Jordan did. They went back and forth. Well, you did this, and you did this, and you did this, and you did this. You can just tell that Ashley just didn't trust this man. They never were going to be a good fit, because for one, we knew as soon as he saw her after the pies, when they did that reveal and he was like, that she ain't his type, I was like, oh yeah, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna last long. I knew that. Because once you see what else is on the agenda, whoever else is on the cast and what else is on the platter, on the buffet, I knew that wasn't gonna last. I knew it wasn't going to work out, and he was just going with the flow. Now, they talk about the fact that Alex has a roommate with another cast member, and child, they pull up some footage of Alex and Devontae as playing soccer, child, doing shit. These two are some weirdos. Devontae ain't give us this much energy with any of the bitches that he was with on the show, or the girlfriend that had came forward on the Storytime with Ricky and Ashley podcast special when they did their little thing with her. Shout out to them. Go look at that. Taylor said that Alex and Devontae was roommates. She said that before the reunion came out. She said that. I watched it. She said it. This Alex and Devontae situation, Devontae, you ain't getting none of the bitches in your life this much energy. So, what's going on? What's going on with y'all? What y'all scheming and scamming? What do y'all have going on? Something ain't right. So we get straight in onto Brittany and Devontae's relationship, and Brittany is ready to let him have it. Like, you can tell that she's holding it in, but she is ready to, she has been waiting on this opportunity to say what she had to say to Devontae. So they asked Brittany, how's it going? What's going on? Give us updates. How you feel about what you're seeing? She pretty much said that she was very shocked and appalled and surprised to hear some of the things that Devontae was saying about her in his confessionals behind the scenes. Especially that episode where it was their wedding day and they weren't getting married and they were sitting on the couch having this conversation. And child, what it comes out to is what we already knew and what we already talked about, and what a lot of people already call, is that definitely doesn't like Brittany because she is the woman of color. He doesn't like women of color. He didn't like the fact that, and I talked about it in my last review of episode 12, he didn't like the fact that Brittany didn't want to sign that prenup. He didn't like the fact that, Brittany was like a shadow. She was clingy. He didn't like these things, but also he didn't like how Brittany looked. Let's just be clear. That's what started it, just like with Alex and Ashley. He didn't like how that at first he didn't like it, but when you have these connections with people, you still try to explore it, or I think people are just trying to see if they can do it. Oh, child, to save you a headache and heartache, this whole situation with Brittany and Devontae, pretty much what is happening is, and from what I see, is that Devontae has not only issues with women, but he has issues with communicating the things that he wants and needs, or the things he don't want to need. He just goes along with shit as long as he can go along with it, and then he just ghosts you and gaslights you. He doesn't end relationships with people. He does not say, look, this is not working for me, I can't do it. Even after that scene that he left and was like, we'll be in touch, like, she thought that they were still together because he apparently kept telling her, like, no, I do want to work this out. I do want to work this out. Mind you, that's not all on him either, because Brittany, even though he might have told you that once in a 2.5 week period that you didn't see him after that, she said she didn't see him for 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. So you think that you my motherfucking fiance, or you my man, and we just trying to date outside of the whole experiment? You think that I'm not gonna want to see you like 3 weeks, and you just we don't really have any type of conversation outside of texting, or maybe a call or two? You haven't seen me at all? Like, that is a telltale sign that he don't want you, girl. And I mean, I get it. Like, I get it. I really do. Like, when somebody tells you one thing, but they do something different, or they do something different and tell you one thing, like, it is extremely confusing. But when things are confusing, ladies, when they are consistently confusing, consistently confusing, that is not your man. That is a problem. If it's consistently confusing with nothing else to show for it, and there's no reason for things to be confusing, that's not your man. There's a reason for that. He's lying about something. He's not being real about something. He got multiple different things going on that he don't want you in on and a part of. And I just want you to know that you can get whatever it is you want and deserve, but you do have to have some type of discernment and, like, red flag recognition, fuckboy recognition. Because if they're not showing you anything and giving you nothing, just giving you a little breadcrumb here and there, men who give breadcrumbs like that, I know them all too well. He's going around giving breadcrumbs to all these women. That's why he got one woman thinking that they were still in a relationship or they had just broke up a month before, and then a month later you announcing that you got a baby on the way and you engaged, nigga. What? What? They did have a section that they allowed for Brittany's dad to like address Devontae. I felt like that possibly really didn't really need to be in there, but I do at the same time, I'm glad that it was in there because that's just yet another person telling Devontae on national television how dumb he is and how you need to get your shit together. He did it respectfully, but like, you know, we possibly could have done without that because like they ain't got his family there, which they ain't gonna have his family there because he ain't gonna bring his family into that shit. Brittany goes into this story that actually turns out to be a very sticky situation. We gonna call this Fishy Girls Trip plus Devontae. The Fishy Girls Trip plus Devontae is fishy because something weird's going on here. So Brittany says, just like I just mentioned, that 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks had went by after that whole situation where he left and said, "I'll holler at you later. You know, we'll be in touch." So 2.5, 3 weeks went by, and Brittany was like, "I haven't seen this nigga. Like, he ain't made no plans to see me. He ain't made no plans to come take me on no dates, no nothing. Like, what the hell do we got going on?" So she said that she hit him up and was like, "What are we doing? Like, if this is not what you want to do, if you don't want to be in a relationship anymore, like, let me know so that I can move on. I can properly move on." She comes to say that he was like, no, like, I just have a lot going on, like, but I do still want to be in this relationship with you. So she's still like thinking that he mean that shit, even though he's not showing you any of that. A person can talk until they fucking blue in the face, but if they're not doing anything behind any of the action that they're telling you, it's futile, it's hopeless. So, child, Brittany gives us some tea. She said a few days later, she said she found out months later, but a few days later, she finds out, you know, he lets her know, like, "Hey, I'm going on a work trip." She was like, "Look, this nigga told me he was going on a work trip." And she said that she found out, again, months later, that this was not a work trip. He went on a trip with the girl, some of the girls from the cast, Priyanka, Bree, and Ashley, plus Devontae, went on a girls' trip together to a concert. They ended up going to a concert. So he told Brittany he was going on a work trip. Meanwhile, he was out with them 3 bitches. Okay? They went to Austin. Like, what the hell y'all got going on with Austin? What's going on down there in Austin? What them kitties that purring out like they're in Austin, child, that got y'all. Either way, you can tell that Brittany is pissed that these bitches went on this trip and didn't tell her shit about Devontae. Now, Devontae, first of all, I wouldn't be going this crazy over this man. He looked like a big-ass 13-year-old in the face. Like, it's just not giving anything attractive about him. Like, not only that, but those aren't the most important things, but it's the demeanor, it's the attitude, it's the, you know, I ain't with my preference, so I'm not gonna treat her right type attitude. And that's a real thing. You know, like, people will be with someone who is not typically their preference, and because you're not my preference, like, I don't have to give you star treatment. I don't have to, you know, do any of the things that you meet any of your demands or your non-negotiables. Like, you either gonna deal with me or not. Like, I'm dealing with you and I don't even really want to deal with you. When Devontae talks, he sounds so dumb. Like, it was me and Bree and we was going down to the Rufus concert. Shut up! First of all, you can tell that this bit of tea was possibly news to Connor, but he handled it kind of well. So they was like, "Connor, like, why weren't you on the trip? Why weren't you on the trip with your lady? Why was Devontae on the trip? Why weren't you on the trip?" And Connor was like, "Well, I thought it was a girls trip, and everybody started laughing, but like that was tea, y'all. Y'all was keep laughing, but he's telling y'all that like it may not be all peaches and cream in paradise. It may not be all rainbows and gold in paradise with him and Bree. He didn't know that Devontae was on that trip. He had no fucking idea that Bree was on. He said that Bree told him that he was going to go, that she was going to go down to Austin to the Rufus concert with Priyanka and Ashley. There was no mention made of Devontae. But then Devontae doesn't know how to keep his lies together and also doesn't know how to shut his mouth. He says that they was like, well, how did you get invited onto this trip? And he was like, well, me and Bree were at dinner. And they said, oh, we're going here and we're going there. He literally like, me and Bree was at dinner, but they said that we were going on this trip. So I was just like, what do you mean? So maybe he was at dinner with Bree and maybe Bree called them girls on FaceTime or called them, was like, hey, I'm with Diva. Tell them to come down. Y'all know how that go. I'm just coming up with a scenario. I don't know if that's the truth, but that's just how it's given to me, because it's either that or all of them was at the dinner together, but I don't think they were, because he said me and Bree were at dinner. So, child, everybody's starting to get called out for the tea, because Bree is like going into explaining. I guess she didn't know how much she should be saying. So she starts talking and she sees that not either Priyanka or Ashley are chiming in, or Devontae chiming in to help her to validate this conversation. She like, I'm the only one talking. She was like, can y'all help a sister out? Damn. So Ashley goes to say that like, oh, well, Devontae was telling us that he was done. Like, are you and her really over? He was like, yes, they're done. Like, does she know you're here? Yes, da. But it's funny to me that the fact that if you know that these people are engaged, you know, or still in a relationship, still dating, and my man is here with y'all and I'm not here, that should bring a bell. I mean, I think that Ashley was just like, oh yeah, we're all so close. I don't think that that's the case, because if my friend that I'm so close with, your man comes to fly in to where me and my other two homegirls is at to go to a concert, and he say, oh yeah, we ain't together no more. You think I ain't about to go in the bathroom and call your ass up and be like, girl, what's going on with you and Devontae? He here, he talking about y'all ain't together. What's going on? So, like, I'm going to step off and go call my friend that I'm so close with. So, Ashley, you're a bullshitter. You are MAGA Barbie. It's cool. We don't really fuck with you like that. But, you know, I just feel like Ashley got onto this show and on this episode, the reunion, and just tried to, like, do all this and do all that. When, girl, like, you ain't no better than the rest of them. You just a snaky. You not a girl's girl. You should have told her, oh yeah, we're close. We're all so close. Like, Priyanka, like, butted in and was like, nah, like, we're not. She was like, I'm not close with Brittany. You can hear her under the mic, like, on the behind the scenes saying that she's not close to Brittany. So with her saying that, it made her look like a mean girl in a way, but her saying that and her being the only one honest out of the whole group of people, she said, like, look, like, I'm not close to her. Like, she didn't feel any obligation to let Brittany know that Devontae was hanging out with them. Now, Devontae did try to lie and say that he didn't stay with them and he got his own Airbnb, and Priyanka was like, bruh, like, what? She was like, because Brittany, at first, Brittany was like, are you so you didn't stay with them? So you didn't, like, because so Brittany knew something. So Priyanka was like, yeah, she was like, well, when he got off the airplane, you know, the plane, and touched down with Ashley, he tried to tell us that his damn Airbnb didn't confirm with him yet. So he ain't got nowhere to stay. So, like, instead of telling him, like, look, bro, you gonna have to go get you your own housing. You need to go to the damn Super 8. You need to go down to somewhere. You got all this money you making. You need to go down and get you some other type of accommodation. You flew all the way out here to go on a vacation with the girls. So why do you not have your accommodations together? But they ended up letting him stay that night. Priyanka was pretty much like, yeah, it was weird. Like, I really didn't want him to stay, but like, what am I going to say? No, you can't fucking stay here, kick you out on the street. Yeah, that's actually what you do say, because you don't really know this man like that. To be letting him just come and stay with you, like, it was weird. So, again, Brittany said she didn't know about this until way later, but she found out they asked her, they was like, well, how did you find out? She said she found out via Amber. And Amber sitting right beside each other on the couch, and they hug each other. And Amber's like, yeah, I don't trust these men. She was like, and also just to let y'all know, I wasn't trying to be catty. She was like, I didn't know that she didn't know. It's like, you gonna find these things out anyway, but he just literally done it anyway, knowing good and fucking well it's gonna get around. It's a small circle. You're gonna know. It's gonna slip some way, shape, or form. And she was saying, like, she wasn't trying to be catty. And we don't know if that's true or not, but she was saying, wasn't trying to be catty. She said she didn't know that she didn't know. They asked Amber, who did she get the tea from? She points over here to Jordan. So Jordan and Amber pillow talking about the tea. And they was like, Jordan, who told you? And although Jordan said, I don't know, I don't remember. Yeah, right. We know you remember who told you. But even though he said that was smart of him to do. But also, did y'all see Ashley like point over that? Well, who was she pointing at? Was she pointing at Alex or Chris? Or was she pointing at one of the bitches from on the other side? Whenever they asked, they was like, Jordan, who did you hear it from? And she was like, so I think she was talking about Alex. She was talking about Alex or Chris, because they was the ones that was sitting right there. Or am I tripping? Did y'all notice that too? She immediately pointed when they asked him who told him, and Jordan was just like, I don't know. I don't remember who told me. I don't remember. Child, they just kept going in with Devontae and Brittany's situation and went a little bit further into what was kind of happening. Devontae is pretty much saying that he don't break up with people. He doesn't know how to sever that tie. He doesn't know how to, tell people that this is not working. He just ghosts them, or he just strings them along until they realize, like, damn, I guess we're not together anymore. And that's such a childish ass thing. That is so childish at this big old grown ass age that you're at, to be doing this to women. But again, he does not like women, y'all. I'm sorry. Allegedly, I don't care. He doesn't. It's clear. It's obvious. And at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not saying that to say that he is gay. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that people don't like women, but they still are womanizers. Or they still, make children. They still get married. Men who don't like women, they still get married. But it is a means to an end. They, for some reason, don't like a woman for whatever reason, what one's done to them, what one has taken from them. Who knows? I don't know him. But it is something behind those eyes. Those eyes are dead, honey. That facial expression is flat, baby. And a flat and dead, expressionless man with no emotions, I can't get with that. That will never grace my presence ever again. Monte does go to say, like I mentioned earlier, prematurely, that he has a baby on the way and has a fiance. And that girlfriend who came forward, she said that she was almost hurt and disgusted by that, because how you engaged and got a baby on the way when we just broke up a month ago? Because he doesn't end things with people. Devontae will break up with you in January or will string you along. So Devontae will meet you, start dating you in January, and in March, and this is just a fake timeline. In March, he realizes he don't want to be with you, and he mentally breaks up with you, but he don't actually break up with you. So then, since he mentally broke up with you, in his mind, you broken up, and he already moves on with another person. So you still think you and this man together. Meanwhile, he moved on with somebody new months ago. He just ain't tell you that he was done with you. That's very weird. Is something wrong? Something is wrong. So this part of the reunion, they have Zach and Bliss. They have like a whole little part dedicated to them. Zach and Bliss are expecting their second child, and they were saying that they were going to find out what it was on that day at the reunion. And I was like, what? So apparently Zach's grandmother had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and had since passed away. Rest in peace to her. So she was there for their first child, their daughter, and, got to spend that time with her. But he was saying, how that the new baby was not going to ever get to meet her. And it was emotional. We love our grandparents. Okay. We love our grandmas especially. And, that's a tough thing. And so he says that his grandma was able to record a message before, because he was able to tell her that, that they were expecting. So she recorded a video to them, and it was so emotional. It was very sweet, and she was the one who was going to announce what their baby was going to be. And it was a boy. They are having a boy. So they look very ecstatic, very happy, very emotional all at the same time. So I thought that part was beautiful. So congratulations to you guys. Woo, child. So the ending was just wrapping up Christine and Vic, with their little ooey gooey love story again, just kind of recapping on that. Talking to some folks in the audience, and they ended up having a performance. It was a male and female duo performance, and it was good, honey. It was a cute little performance. It was nice. It was emotional. It was romantic. I enjoyed the music. The music was kind of on T this season. I heard a lot of songs that I've heard like on other, like people use when they create content and like their background sounds and like TikTok popular songs. I heard some of those throughout the season, but I heard some other songs that I ain't, didn't know anything about. And I was like, oh, okay, the budget of the music. But at the end, Nick and Vanessa, I thought they was about to say this was the last season, child, but they did not. The way they was kind of, like, the way they had, like, the couples, like, pictures on there, and, like, over the years, and the things that these couples have done with their lives, and, like, they're really, like, love, 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 love. I feel like I didn't feel that energy from other reunions. Am I wrong? I don't know. I have to think back and look back, but I just feel like it almost seemed like this was a farewell to the Love is Blind US franchise. But no, they was like, look, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. See you next time. And I said, oh shit. Whew, that was a long reunion. This was a long review. I feel like this is probably the longest review I've ever done. Child, I appreciate this. Was honestly one of the reasons why I wanted to be like have a podcast and be a podcast host. And I didn't realize how much like I am such a reader, and like my love of plants, me being a registered nurse, those things kind of are going to take precedence on this channel moving forward. I absolutely enjoyed doing the things that I did with Love is Blind. It was just like so much going on, and I was in transition to go do another travel assignment that I'm leaving tomorrow for, hence all this shit in the back. So I may do some little Love is Blind reviews here and there next time it comes on or something, and I will do other little shows and things like that as it comes up. But for the most part, this is going to be like book reviews, full-length book reviews, full-length plant care videos, digital marketing, like tools and strategies that I'm using to actually make money online, make money through e-commerce and so many other factors. So we will do things like this, but it won't be the main focus of the channel. So If you are new here, thank you for coming. If you are coming back, you're returning, thank you so much. It's so much appreciated. Please, if you would like to, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this season of Love is Blind. They took us on a roller coaster. You know, they always do. It never fails that we go on a roller coaster with Love is Blind. But I will see y'all next time. This was the end of Love is Blind. So come back for other content and see what we have in store on this channel. Okay, take care.
Glass on my gun, I'm in my zone. Pretty with a purpose, yeah, I do both.